In the heart of Southeast Asia, two neighboring nations, Thailand and Cambodia, have reignited a long-standing border dispute that has once again turned deadly. But this isn't just a regional spat over ancient temples. This is a conflict that's challenging the very principles that underpin ASEAN, that of unity, non-interference, and diplomacy. As violence returns to the border, the question isn't just who fired first, but whether ASEAN is truly equipped to keep the peace among its own members. On July 24, 2025, deadly clashes erupted near the Prasat Tamoan Tom Temple along the Thai-Cambodian border. This sudden escalation followed months of rising tension, a steady climb ever since the death of a Cambodian soldier back in May. Since then, the two countries have been caught in a tit-for-tat cycle of escalations. This saw Thailand impose border restrictions, then Cambodia retaliated with bans on Thai produce and films. This all culminated in the accidental death of a Thai soldier from a landmine explosion, which directly led to the Cambodian ambassador's expulsion from Thailand. The situation finally reached its peak when both sides reported gunfire exchanges around the border in Thailand's Surin province. Both sides have claimed to be victims, asserting their responses were purely defensive. Nevertheless, the conflict has claimed more than 15 lives, 158,000 civilians displaced on both sides of the border, and diplomatic relations between Thailand and Cambodia hit their lowest point in over a decade. This fatal turn of events have even led to Thailand's acting Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai to issue a chilling warning. This conflict, if not contained, could develop into war. And for ASEAN, that is not just a security concern, it's a credibility crisis that reveals the limitations of ASEAN's doctrine of non-interference and consensus-based decision-making. The origins of this conflict stretch back over a century, to a time when colonialism was at its height and France was carving borders across Indochina. That included Cambodia, without much regard for local realities. In 1907, the Franco-Siamese Border Commission drew a line that directly contradicted earlier treaties. This new boundary was then unilaterally forced upon Siam, as Thailand was known back then. The result? Due to French negligence and a clear lack of accurate maps for this difficult-to-access, sparsely populated region, ancient 11th century temples, like Preah Vihear and Tamoan Tom, built by the ancient Khmer Empire, ancestors of the Cambodian state, found themselves on territory now claimed by both sides. Even after Cambodia gained independence from French colonial rule, the conflict persisted. This led them to seek an end to the dispute through international efforts. The International Court of Justice did rule in Cambodia's favor in 1962, but only regarding the Preah Vihear temple itself, placing it under Cambodian sovereignty. Nevertheless, the dispute continued, largely due to the court's lack of clarity about the ownership of the land surrounding the temple. The conflict re-emerged in 2008 when Cambodia, under Prime Minister and strongman Hun Sen, successfully registered the Preah Vihear temple as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Thailand's response? A surge of nationalist protests, political instability, and border skirmishes that lasted until 2011. It wasn't just about temples, it was about power, buoyed by nationalism and cultural pride. In Cambodia, Hun Sen skillfully used the dispute to rally support for his Cambodian People's Party. This happened amidst the rising popularity of the opposition during an election year, and he simultaneously redirected focus away from economic stagnation by leveraging national pride to silence dissent. Meanwhile, in Thailand, the temple became a flashpoint for a bitter political divide. On one side, military-backed elites, led by the opposition Democratic Party's Abhisit Vejjajiva. On the other hand, supporters of Thaksin Shinawatra, largely consolidated within the Pheu Thai Party. The Pheu Thai Party's government faced harsh criticism from the Democratic Party and anti-Thaksin supporters, famously known as the Yellow Shirts. They accused the government of failing to uphold Thai nationalism and cultural heritage. This tension erupted into street clashes between the Yellow Shirts and Thaksin's own Red Shirts, formerly known as the United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship. Ultimately, the Pheu Thai Party was overthrown, and Abhisit Vejjajiva took the reins of government. Inevitably, this led to further conflict between the two states. Hun Sen actively antagonized the new Thai government by openly supporting Thaksin's family and even appointing the former prime minister as an advisor in his own government. This wasn't surprising, given the two strongmen were close friends, even referring to each other as brothers. What began as a domestic strategy, utilizing nationalism to stir up internal issues, inevitably spiraled into disaster. The heightened tension between the two countries finally subsided with the landslide victory of Thaksin's sister, Yingluck Shinawatra, as prime minister in 2011. Fast forward to 2025. Thailand's military and the Yellow Shirts overthrew the Shinawatra family once more, only to restore them to rule through the democratic victory of Paetongtarn Shinawatra, daughter of Thaksin and niece of Yingluck. Cambodia is officially under Hun Manet, but former Prime Minister Hun Sen still casts a long shadow. As mentioned, tensions had been steadily rising. In May, a Cambodian soldier died, with Cambodia blaming Thailand, a claim Thailand vehemently denied, asserting they did not fire first and were taking a defensive posture. Then came the now infamous phone call, a conversation that would send shockwaves through both nations. During this call, Paetongtarn, priding herself as Hun Sen's niece, addressed him as uncle, openly acknowledging the deep, almost familial bond between their two powerful clans. This wasn't just a courtesy. Both figures were clearly leveraging this connection. Paetongtarn made requests of her uncle, implying reciprocal favors, to which he explicitly responded by asking for the border to be reopened. More critically, as she apologized to Hun Sen for the recent tensions, she then, quite controversially, appeared to dismiss a local Thai military commander. This move was not just a misstep, it was highly problematic, especially given the Thai military's immense and deeply entrenched influence in the country's political landscape. It directly touched a raw nerve within Thailand's powerful establishment. Hun Sen promptly leaked the call. Many saw this as a deliberate move to politically embarrass Paetongtarn and rally nationalist sentiment behind his still-establishing son, Hun Manet. This move was particularly strategic given Thailand's aggressive stance against Cambodia's scam compounds, where trafficked workers are forced into online scams targeting people globally. The leak shocked even Thaksin himself, who reportedly felt betrayed, a sentiment Hun Sen apparently reciprocated. The consequences for Paetongtarn were swift. Accused of undermining Thailand and its politically powerful military, she was suspended as prime minister in July 2025. The relationship between the two nations had completely collapsed. And what followed? Escalation. Thailand responded first by implementing strict border restrictions. They ramped up screening at all land borders, blocked departing tourists, and urged Thai citizens in Cambodia to return home. Cambodia swiftly retaliated. They banned imports of Thai fruits and vegetables, and even went so far as to ban the broadcasting of Thai films and TV shows. Thailand's telecom regulator ordered a complete shutdown of internet and mobile connections to Cambodia, citing a crackdown on call center scams. In a mirroring move, Cambodia retaliated by cutting off all internet bandwidth purchases from Thailand. And by July, the escalation turned deadly. Landmine explosions injured 5 Thai soldiers. This led to Thailand expelling Cambodia's ambassador, and Cambodia, in turn, downgraded its diplomatic status with Thailand. Then, on July 24th, the worst-case scenario unfolded. Open military confrontation. ASEAN, founded on the ideals of peaceful coexistence and unity in diversity, was quick to issue a statement urging restraint. The joint statement stated that, "We are deeply concerned about the escalating border conflict between Cambodia and Thailand, which has caused casualties, property damage, and displaced many people. We urge both countries to show maximum restraint, implement an immediate ceasefire, stop all hostilities, and return to peaceful negotiations based on the principles of the United Nations and ASEAN charters and the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. We support the ASEAN Chair's efforts to help both sides restart dialogue and end the fighting." But this crisis revealed the organization's structural weaknesses, particularly its commitment to non-interference and consensus-based diplomacy. Malaysia's Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, stepped up as the current ASEAN chair, directly appealing to both Cambodia's Hun Manet and Thailand's new acting prime minister, Phumtham Wechayachai, to call for a ceasefire. Cambodia was notably receptive to this offer, particularly given reports of their military quickly losing ground to Thailand, including a recent defeat at the Takra Bay Temple just the day before. As the conflict raged and negotiations stalled, Hun Manet even took the drastic step of appealing directly to the UN Security Council for intervention to end the fighting. Meanwhile, Thailand initially hesitated to accept Malaysia and ASEAN's mediation. Thailand's Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs, Russ Jalachandra, told reporters, "We appreciate the offer, and we don't want to rule out having a third country to help. But right now, we believe that bilateral mechanisms have not been exhausted." In the end, it was only when both the United States and China directly intervened, publicly supporting Malaysia's decision to host ceasefire talks and urging de-escalation, that the two countries finally agreed to sit down. Their leaders met at Anwar Ibrahim's official residence in Putrajaya. Both sides finally agreed to an immediate ceasefire on July 28th. So yes, ASEAN helped, but only after major powers nudged everyone to the table. This conflict is more than a border skirmish. It's a case study in the limits of regional cooperation in an age of growing geopolitical competition. It threatens three pillars of ASEAN's credibility. Unity. Internal divisions make a mockery of ASEAN's motto, neutrality. External powers stepped in when ASEAN couldn't. Stability. The economic and humanitarian impact was significant. The reality is, ASEAN has been here before. During the 2008 to 2011 crisis, ASEAN attempted to intervene through mediation, but ultimately failed. Even with the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, which was supposed to empower the ASEAN High Council, it proved ineffective even back then. As a result, ASEAN's overall presence in those peace negotiations was virtually invisible, much like what we're seeing in this current crisis. And just as it happened then, it was only the ASEAN chair, in that case Indonesia, that managed to negotiate a final settlement. Indonesia's foreign minister, Marty Natalegawa, hosted talks between the two countries, playing the role of mediator, much as Anwar Ibrahim and Malaysia have done now. This continuous pattern reveals that ASEAN, as a collective, has not been truly effective in its role to mediate the peace and security needed to enhance regional resilience within Southeast Asia. Instead, this crucial role has consistently fallen to individual member states, like Indonesia and now Malaysia. The harsh truth is that this isn't due to a lack of trying. It's largely a consequence of ASEAN's very nature as a regional organization. ASEAN is an organization comprised of members of all political stripes, from monarchies to democracies, and even communist one-party states. Within this diverse reality, ASEAN functions more as a bloc, focused on regional resilience and economic advancement, rather than a politically inclined multilateral organization like the European Union. Consequently, one of ASEAN's main tenets is non-interference, which dictates that member states do not have the right to intervene in the domestic affairs of another. This principle is further reinforced by ASEAN's approach to decision-making, consensus-based diplomacy. Here, every state must agree to any action ASEAN undertakes, essentially granting each member a veto. The practical result is that ASEAN is often immobilized and ineffective in executing decisions, especially when those decisions relate to domestic issues or even conflicts between two of its own member states. The so-called ASEAN way, a path of non-confrontational diplomacy, means the most the bloc can often achieve is to issue cautious statements and refrain from endorsing enforcement or punitive actions. This is largely because ASEAN member states are deeply protective of their own sovereignty. The preference for bilateral negotiations among Southeast Asian nations is profoundly rooted in these sovereignty concerns. Governments are naturally wary of public regional interference in matters deemed politically sensitive, fearing a loss of control and potential domestic backlash. The informal ASEAN way itself encourages behind-the-scenes negotiations, viewing them as far more suitable for delicate political rivalries. Meanwhile, bilateral talks simply offer greater speed, flexibility, and direct control, empowering political leaders to manage nationalist sentiments and domestic political agendas far more effectively. The reality is that if ASEAN doesn't reform, if it doesn't adapt its conflict resolution mechanisms, it risks becoming obsolete. Because in today's Indo-Pacific, slow, quiet diplomacy won't hold back landmines, drones, or proxy influence. Ceasefire on July 28th may have calmed the immediate crisis. But the border remains tense. Nationalism is still a political tool, and ASEAN's internal contradictions are painfully visible. To survive the coming decades, ASEAN must evolve. Not into a superpower, but into a bloc that can stand firm when its own house is on fire. If you found this breakdown valuable, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should ASEAN abandon its non-interference policy? Or is it still the best way to preserve harmony in a complex region? Until next time, stay informed and stay based, Southeast Asia.